it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in on a very crucial, important, and what I think you will find interesting aspect of coming to terms with understanding and healing through successfully a relationship with a emotionally manipulative individual, a malignant narcissist, a psychopath, someone who has utilized manipulation techniques that can include gaslighting and brainwashing. These are techniques which these types of individuals will use to get you to doubt your own sense of reality and slowly get you to erode your grasp on your own reality. Your own reality can be your perceptions, your intuition, your values, what you value about yourself, or really kind of what makes you you. It can be your personality characteristics, the fact that you might love nature, you might love certain types of movies, you might love a certain lifestyle, you might love your family, you might love collecting certain things, you might love painting, you might love, woodworking, all these different things that make you you. The identity with which you have can oftentimes be the core of which they will attack and give you a sense of doubt against that which you are. But what even is more diabolical is the fact that they get you to desire your own self-destruction. And through desire, we mean actually through the desire to connect, the desire to belong, the desire to make them happy, really which is derived from an addiction to them, or the oftentimes what is set up in the beginning as the idealization phase. So it depends really on this individual and what they are, how they are in relationship to you. This might be a love interest. This might be a family member. It might be a sibling. It might be a parent. It might be a boss. It might be, another person, a neighbor, someone who you meet at school who has distorted your sense of reality through an sundry brainwashing and gaslighting techniques. And now when we talk about how they do this, number one, it's important for you to understand that there has to be a certain receptivity, or oftentimes that's set up through the idealization phase. You might be, smitten with this person. You might find them extremely attractive, physically attractive. They might have a certain charisma about them that you assign a certain talent to. They might be very talented musicians or talented professionally, something that gets you to be enamored with them or focused on them, really as you then erode kind of your own grasp on yourself. And this is what we know as the eroding of boundaries. So you become kind of feeling at one with them. And that really kind of losing your sense of independence, security, and autonomy, which unbeknownst to you is occurring in the process. And this can occur at all different, stages and levels of life. And it can become when you're young, when you're older. It really all depends on the individual. But when we look at how this is set up, a lot of people also understand, how did this even happen? This is not fair. This shouldn't have happened to me. Well, who is targeted? Who is sussed out as a target for this person? Someone who might be going through a life change, someone who might be vulnerable, someone who might be lonely, someone who might have, a sense of empathy, a real sense of belonging, a good-hearted person. So naturally, they're going to project the good onto all situations and not really, see it coming. So they kind of blindside people this way. People who don't accept a lot of uncertainty in their life. So they don't like the idea of not knowing. So they have a propensity to want to know things. So they're always trying to work it out and keep a sense of certainty and congruence in their mind. So they end up then turning and flipping around their sense of reality to make certain that this relationship will be solid, and they'll end up, devouring or dissolving their boundaries in order to keep this relationship in place. And unbeknownst to them, things can spiral out of control very quickly. And brainwashing and gaslighting is when they are able to change and distort your sense of reality, your sense of connection to that which makes you you. And so they will basically tap into that personality and then exploit it and get you to abandon that which you hold sacred within yourself. You might have a pride about your love of nature or physical fitness or eating well or sleeping well or pursuing your talents, pursuing your career. That which you hold dear and that which is important and a priority to you, oftentimes they'll be able to distort your own sense of grasp on reality and basically make that all of a sudden seem not that important. It is no longer valuable to you. It is no longer important. It's no longer important for you to focus on your job, your family, your fitness, your eating well. All of a sudden, everything comes about them, but you don't see it coming. It is because of the gaslighting and brainwashing, which erodes your sense of reality. They do this by, making you distorted your sense of time. Oftentimes, doing things which are in violation of your own values, so you begin to lower your standards, lower your sense of integrity, or that which you really are used to enforcing, and so little by little, it's dissolved and eroded away. And they will do this through, through exhausting you physically, exhausting you emotionally, exhausting you financially, through time, through inordinate amount of context. So the fact that you always have to be thinking about them. And they can, create this sort of bullying or jockeying position where you're constantly thinking about them in the positive, but then it, becomes trickled down and then it becomes into the negative. So constantly sending you pictures, emojis, texts, snippets and comments, things that, are designed to arouse you. They elicit the hyperarousal syndrome, basically where you become hyper aroused, physically, emotionally, sexually, and you become, violating and transcending your own levels. You might skip eating a lot. You might skip sleeping a lot. You might, basically start abandoning your work to attend to their messages. You might start getting up very early and trying to, prepare for them, connect with them. All of a sudden, it becomes in the positive, and then the brain is tricked into feeling that your survival is then based on this. It is dependent on this. Whether your self-value is depending on them is completely blown out of whack and blown out of perspective because of this hyperarousal and then this position with which they have within you. It can become, they can become inordinately attractive, inordinately important. We see the trauma bond set up where you become basically, without them, you feel asphyxiated, like you can't breathe, you can't live, nothing else matters. You tend to, with reckless abandon, and people then, make excuses and say, well, this is what love is, or this makes me feel like a man to feel this way, or this makes me feel like a woman. I feel so desired or desirable, and the man the same way. And they, continue to want to keep this feeling of being attractive, and then attractive not only, to them, not to themselves, but really to this person. So they end up trying to, create a facade to match their facade. In other words, trying to constantly keep them in relations. And this brainwashing and gaslighting then throws and disrupts your sense of reality, that which you hold dear. So people normally will begin, they might start losing their life savings. They might start, trying to repurchase homes, or give them the keys to their car, or the logins to their bank accounts, all sorts of things which they basically end up losing grasp on for this individual. And this becomes, a sense of a new reality to them, a new normal. And this can become very lethal and dangerous, because if you really look at oftentimes what you have to gain from it, it is absolutely zero, zilch, nada. You are not being attended to. You are not being respected. You are not being shown the lovability, the affection, and the attention that you need. It's actually contorted and twisted to flip side, giving them that very admiration, love, and connection which they need. Oftentimes, as a viewer so very aptly stated, oftentimes to create their source of supply, whatever it is that they need, whether it be love, sex, money, attention. And oftentimes what a viewer so aptly stated, they're looking for fans, not friends. I think that's a very important distinction, and you begin to oftentimes get into that perspective. So you become an admirer rather than a true relationship. You become that of a pursuer rather than that which is pursued, in terms of a realistic, solid, foundational, healthy relationship. And, you begin to then feel that you're defective in some way and that you must correct this defectiveness within yourself by getting a relationship back with them. So this is really the distortion of reality. You will oftentimes abandon your own sense of emotional connection to things. So what was normally comforting to you is no longer comforting. That which is usually attractive to you is no longer attractive. So you'll see, if you look back and if you see where you were abandoning that which is really held important, sacred, and valuable and true to you, oftentimes this is, let go in order to maintain this addiction or erroneous assessment of what is important to you just to satisfy their needs. So it has nothing to do with you, your happiness, your fulfillment, you being whole, which is really the state of healing, which is being independent, autonomous, and being able to make decisions and provide for yourself. This becomes very much caught up in part of the brainwashing and gaslighting, and it is the erosion of those boundaries, of those needs which you have, which are then discredited and devalued in the process. Be very careful, take it very seriously, and definitely go no contact with individuals who are seeking to cause you to doubt yourself, feel uncomfortable, and do not value that which you also value and are supportive in those very important and intimate ways. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.